Hey, this is Anna from The Faithful Dove. It's very nice to see all of you again and welcome new subscribers. If you have not yet, please like, follow, and share. I think it's below. You may be seeing this on YouTube, and my regulars know that my YouTube channel was shut down, so I decided to try a new one. It was accidental, okay? So I'm trying a new one, but I'm not focusing on building YouTube because I don't know what's going to happen with it. But I just wanted to get the videos everywhere I could get them to help as many people as possible. Before we get started, I purchased an air conditioner for this room that was too small, so it's struggling in a 101-degree field today upstairs in my office. I'm very much a bedroom person, and my office is in the other side of my bedroom. I'll tell you that story in a minute. But the fan is on, and you might be able to hear the fan that's pushing air towards me so that I can be with you without roasting insanely. I realize it might be hotter in other parts of the world, or even in, even in America. So I'm trying not to whine, and I hope everybody's staying cool. But right now my air conditioning is out in my car too, so I'm using freezer packs. But my dad gave me a couple of ideas too, including getting the long stretchy socks and that are breathable. Put ice cubes in them, tie them up, and then you sew a terry cloth dish towel, and then you put it on your neck. And neck is a really good place to keep the rest of your body cool. So he's a athletic person, so he does all that stuff. They will invent anything so that they can keep running. All right, back to communication. Here we go. One very important thing about communication, and I believe is the biggest problem, you have to listen to hear and understand. Now, maybe you don't realize you're doing this, but most people are listening to defend and respond, depend upon the conversation. Communication is important in all aspects of your life, not just your relationship. You have to be clear. You have to be fair, and sometimes you have to be assertive. That's the art of communication. You have to learn to put it in your head, to listen, to hear, and understand. Don't just listen to respond, because you're not truly listening. If you're listening to defend yourself, you're not truly listening. A lot of times, not just for disagreements, but a lot of times when you're having a disagreement, it's usually about a misunderstanding, okay? Especially when you're dating someone from a different culture and they haven't heard all the phrases that you use. And for instance, I'm originally from Missouri. And ornery in Missouri just means that you're a little feisty, okay? But understand there are definitions in other parts of states that means bad. So that is also why we have to respect each other's culture. I adore everybody all over the world, and I just love learning about their culture. And communication, another example is when I was teaching, there were these children who came directly from Africa. In Africa at that time, kids were not allowed to look teachers in the eye. In America, what do? Look me in the eye so I know you're hearing and understanding me, right? I suspected it, so I didn't get on them about it. I went straight and signed up for a cultural awareness class, and that's what I learned. And now they were respecting me because teachers were sacred. And that's amazing. Okay? So it helped me to more effectively communicate with them. Now everybody believes if I come to your country, I should learn and practice your cultures if I'm going to be living there, and you should do the same for mine. But you got to start somewhere. Okay? While those children are learning, while those people are learning about your culture, they need to communicate as well so that they can learn. That's all part of a learning process. So just keep that in mind. Be aware. So, listening to understand and hear. What does that mean? That means you're having a conversation with somebody, this thing is put on silent. Okay? Texting is the number one way to kill a relationship. Not just texting when you're supposed to be talking to your partner, but trying to text an emotional point to your partner. If you fight through text or try to have a discussion, serious discussion through text, there is no emotions to it. I don't care how many crap emojis, smileys, or sad faces you put in it. Your message is not being accurately received because it's typed words. It doesn't have your facial expression. It doesn't have your tone of voice. So save all communications for in person. Okay, so yeah, everybody's busy. I'm non-confrontational. What if your spouse or loved one is non-confrontational? Because this doesn't just mean for relationships. This is for when you're talking to a coworker, when you're talking to another human being, when you're talking to a loved one. It doesn't matter who it is. The very first thing you need to do is listen to hear and understand. And I'm going to tell you now, I'm one of those people, and I think most of us do this sometimes. Imagine a junk pile of words in your head. The very first thing when you get upset is there's all these emotions, all these feelings, and all these words that you have to express. Well, mine turn into a big old junk pile up in my head, fall out randomly. No one can understand me until, like, literally, they've purged out, and then, this is when I'm really upset. Till they've purged out, and then things start to come out clearly. You need to be willing to listen. Okay? That is not to say that you have to listen to someone cussing you out, calling you names, or abusing you. You don't. Just tell them when they get their head straight and they can communicate to you with respect, you can sit down and talk about it. This is also another thing. Okay? Never go into a discussion for a disagreement mad, because you're not open enough emotionally to be listening to hear and understand. Even like when you're in the heat of the moment, you really don't want to hear what the other person has to say. Your natural urge is to convince them to understand. Sorry about that. That's why you can't talk when you're upset, and it's the time when you really want to purge, because you got all these emotions. You're really upset. You just really want to go at it. You really want them to understand, but you have to wait for the right time when you're both calmed down, and it may not take long. How long does it take you to calm down? Okay? If it takes you a whole day, must have been something really upset you. But if it takes you a whole day, wait until the whole day. Ask them, say, look, I'd really like to work this out with you, and I'd really like to talk to you about this, but I'm upset right now. Can you give me a day to cool down? And then actually go back. Don't avoid it. Even if you're scared, go back and talk about it. Most people are afraid of outcomes. That's why they avoid things. That's why I'm really non-confrontational. Because I don't like to fight, because most people nowadays walk away and don't come back. They don't realize your couple, your family, your friends, your coworkers, you're all different. Even as similar as you may be, you're all different. So you're going to have disagreements. You gotta respect their opinion, but you don't have to be abused. It's okay for people to have different opinions than you. It's not okay for them to push their opinion on you, or you to push it on them, and it's not okay for people to get abusive and crazy about it. Again, I'll point to the deal breakers: verbal, mental, physical abuse, substance abuse. But another important thing is, if you're prone to anger over things that you can't control, you can reach out and you can take classes for that. And now online classes are completely anonymous. There are free classes. There are free support groups. Don't keep yourself in a situation where you're not getting the emotional care that you need. Because if truth be told, everyone has triggers. Mine are when I feel like I'm being ignored, when I feel like I'm misunderstood, or I feel like I'm not getting enough attention. No, I'm not an only child. I was practically one girl in the midst of a lot of boys. That was my age. So I did spend a lot of time playing by myself. So when I was little, has advantages and it has disadvantages. The disadvantage is I don't reach out like I should. I let things build up. And my patterns also came from when I was little. I went to more funerals than I did weddings and celebrations. A lot of my family members did stupid stuff when they knew genetically they shouldn't, because they had a high risk, like eating scrapple all the time, and we had a lot of heart disease and a lot of cancer in our family, and most of the cancer was from smoking. People knew that they were high risk because most of our immediate family would get cancer and die from it, but they did it anyway. Alcoholism. So I have a fear of abandonment from childhood, but at the same time, I have a recent wound from my long-term boyfriend dying suddenly on me. I'll tell you more about that story later. You can watch tragedy, can motivate you, but as soon as I get the courage, I'm going to tell the entire story. It reads like a thriller. But communication is something that I genuinely try to do. But if your partner is not communicating, there's nothing that you can do except for, could we please talk? And then each of you listen. Really, because a lot of times people will talk and talk and talk and talk. There'll be surface issues. Well, you made me mad today because I was sleeping on the couch and you turned the bright light on and woke me up. Real story. But that's not usually the underlying issue. Okay? And there's nothing you can do about other people's underlying issues. You can only work on yourself. I mean, you can say, dude, you got issues you need to get some help for, but don't stay hoping you can change them, because most people don't change. Communication is so important, even when you don't want to. And it's been really hard because relationships go through phases, and I'm trying really hard to communicate. But I feel like I'm getting nowhere. That's not on me. That hurts me, but it's not on me. So you can't blame yourself, and stop trying to figure out what else you can do. If you've tried to have a conversation with them, if you've requested and they don't want to talk, there's nothing you can do. That's not on you. What's on you is the decision that you have to make if things change. And nobody, or should I say if things don't change, or change for the worse, nobody wants to break up. And a lot of people don't deal with that feeling, and they repress it and prolong how they feel. For instance, when Rick died, the pain of that damn near killed me, literally. So I felt like I lost the other half of me. So I sure as hell didn't want to deal with the deeper pain. You know, issues that we had that were not resolved. The secrets that I found out after he passed that he was keeping. If just him dying threw me into such a deep darkness, it would be natural that I didn't want to deal with the rest of it, because that stuff was even more painful, facing it. And no one was there. No one was there for me to communicate with, professional-wise. And still, 1.5 years wait to talk to somebody. So I'm glad that my college, yes, I'm in college, gave me the 3 sessions to talk. This is all about communication, guys. And it's about taking care of yourself. When the other person can't communicate and resolve things, when they don't want to communicate and resolve things, you still feel it. Pain is a very real response to them not wanting to deal with it. You're allowed to have those feelings, but you need to flow through it. And right now, at this point, a lot of people are having past issues returning to them, either in new partners, through patterns, or just old partners coming back. And, you know, sometimes they want to reconcile, and you have to work through all the issues that you had before, because you have to be confident that you're going to be able to communicate, that you're going to be able to work together. So no matter whether you got a new partner or an old partner, right now, this month, you may be experiencing patterns. And in my, was it my love video? Love is all you need video, reality time. I discussed how you take a piece of paper and you write down all your relationships. You write down how you met, how it ended, and details in between of like, did you argue a lot? What did you argue about? Did they not spend enough time with you? You look at all of them side by side, and you're going to find patterns that are going to help you to be able to stop, recognize first, and then stop these patterns in your tracks. Because some of the patterns are stuff like, okay, you got a partner and he didn't communicate very well, or he kept leaving every time he got mad, or you're like me and yeah, I mean, I'm dating someone, but I was attracted to bad boys. So, and I started noticing unconsciously too, because I always said, yeah, I want a good guy. And then every guy I met had some major issue. So, that I discovered later, of course. But I was subconsciously, I was drawing that to myself, I think, because of that attraction. Maybe just because it felt familiar to me. You know, like if you've been, say you went through an abusive childhood, you tend to feel, it sounds crazy to those of you who have not been abused, but your body adjusts to feeling familiar to things that are not good for you. That's all part of communication. How? Listen to yourself. Listen to hear, listen to understand to others. Self-communication. Self-care. Eliminating those patterns. And that's what this month is all about. So go ahead. Don't wait for that karmic pattern to hit you and you to get hurt again. Go ahead and write down all your relationships. Write down how they began, how they ended, what your arguments were about, what was the most common thing that happened where it went wrong. You're going to look, oh my gosh, every single time I got emotionally unavailable men. I got people who claimed they were too busy, or guys who said they want a relationship, but then they didn't because they were never around. I got guys who, when I had a problem, or girls, it doesn't matter, when I had a problem and I needed to talk to them, they weren't there. You're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out. And those patterns, next time you're going to step back and you're going to say, oh, it's starting to happen again. Excuse my language. Hell no. Hell no. I am not going through this again. And then you're going to say, if it's a severe situation, you're going to say, bye-bye. Not happening again. Nope. Self-preservation. Just remember, find your patterns, fix them. Listen to hear, and listen to understand. Okay? That's how you do it. Self-talk, self-care, self-preservation, again, with boundaries and limits. I want to thank you for listening to me today. And I hope you have a super, super day. And I hope if it's hot in your area, it cools off. If it's cold, it warms up enough. I want you to be feeling great and love yourself. This is Anna from The Faithful Dove. Bye.